These guys talked themselves into the idea that the country would be so excited to see them be really performatively cruel to immigrants, right? They thought this would be a great, political advantage for them. We will perform feats of military-like strength, going after immigrants and humiliating them and debasing them and abusing them for public consumption, and that will build our political capital. That's what they thought. Turns out everywhere they try it, everyone in America hates it. Everyone hates what they're doing. This weekend, the restaurant opened back up. They said they were going to support their employees every way they could. They were working on trying to get them back. Local residents have now formed an organization to try to help. The restaurant is dealing with just an outpouring of local support as they try to figure out what they're going to do. One local GoFundMe was set up for the families of the people who were taken away. They set the goal at that GoFundMe for raising $60,000 for the families. I checked it an hour or so ago, and it was already up over $88,000 raised. The San Diego mayor is demanding answers. The local Democratic congressman, Scott Peters, is demanding answers as well. This was Tallahassee, Florida on Friday. A spontaneous reaction, basically hundreds of people protesting and saying no after they raided a construction site and arrested dozens of people the day before in Tallahassee. This was Great Barrington, Massachusetts. Local folks outraged and intervening and demanding answers as some random local guy was arrested while he was at work. The federal agents said they were looking for a dangerous drunk driver. Locals say this local guy doesn't drive, doesn't have a car. Trump's agents refusing to identify themselves, refusing to show their faces, getting screamed at and having no answers as local people in Great Barrington, Mass. objected and screamed at them and demanded answers. They had no idea what to say. This was last week in San Francisco. People, again, spontaneously protesting and turning up after Trump's agents showed up and started arresting people who had turned up for their court dates. This was Phoenix last week in Arizona. People protesting there as well, essentially spontaneously turning out and protesting when Trump's agents turned up at the courthouse and started arresting people who had turned up for their court dates as well. This has had a lot of attention in the print press. The New York Times just did a big feature on a Trump-supporting town called Kennett, Missouri, where the staff at John's Waffle and Pancake House are now wearing shirts that say, "Bring Carol home." Hundreds of people have signed petitions locally. The local Catholic Church is organizing prayer vigils and meal deliveries for the family of this local woman, Carol, who has been in Kennett, Missouri for 20 years. Trump's agents just arrested her and took her away. She's got 3 American-born kids in local schools. Her name is Carol. As I said, the locals recently proclaimed Carol Day in Kennett, Missouri. They raised nearly $20,000 to support her family and try to get her home. This was Cincinnati, Ohio this weekend, where Trump's agents arrested 3 men on Saturday at a Kroger's parking lot in East Price Hill. And that was on Saturday, the arrest. So then on Sunday, again, essentially spontaneously, people turned out to protest at the site of the arrests. This was Tacoma, Washington this weekend at the big ICE immigration prison there. People came actually from all over Oregon and Washington to protest in Tacoma outside that ICE facility, protest against people being imprisoned there seemingly indefinitely and without due process. These were anti-Trump protesters this weekend in Irvine, California. Love liberty, protect due process. This was Charlotte, North Carolina this weekend. Stand for democracy. Stand with immigrants. This was Lawrence, Kansas this weekend. It was really, really hot in Lawrence, Kansas this weekend. But downtown at this intersection in Lawrence, people turned out in big numbers protesting against Trump, lots of honking and support. This was Charleston, South Carolina this weekend. People protesting against Trump at Brittlebank Park. This was Scarborough, Maine this weekend, protesting against Trump. This was Golden Valley, Minnesota this weekend. Doesn't matter that Elon Musk has now fled Washington. The Tesla dealership in Golden Valley, Minnesota should probably get used to the fact that these protests there are going to keep going until this mess is over. This was Paw Paw, Michigan, in Southwest Michigan this weekend. People protesting against Trump, also raising money for the local food pantry, taking donations for the food pantry. Last week, a neo-Nazi group called the Patriot Front paraded around Kansas City, Missouri. This weekend, Kansas City, Missouri convened an anti-Nazi counter-protest to tell those guys where to go. Today in Washington, the Reverend William Barber was arrested while praying at the U.S. Capitol Rotunda. Again, as he and others protested against the Trump Republican budget, and specifically the plans to cut millions of people off of food assistance, of food stamps, and to cut millions of people off their health insurance.
They have passed a big, ugly, deadly budget bill, and they don't want it talked about in public. Now every senator is going to have to decide whether they're going to vote for the "we are all going to just die" approach to politics.
It was the Reverend William Barber leading a Moral Mondays protest today in Washington. And this is just one more to show you. This is interesting. If you were driving to O'Hare Airport in Chicago this weekend, you would have seen this on the overpass as you approached the airport. Boycott ICE deporter of Velo Air. And of course, Chicago O'Hare is a gigantic airport, so a lot of people saw that. But you kind of forget that there are little airports really all over the country. And this weekend, Saturday this weekend, nearly 50 cities, people protested at all kinds of different airports against Avelo Airlines, which is, in fact, flying deportation flights for Trump. I, for example, was not aware that there is an airport in Salem, Oregon. I guess I'd never really thought about it, but now I know there is, because there was a protest there this weekend against Avelo Airlines, and another in Palm Beach, Florida, and another in Albany, New York, where it was just raining cats and dogs. There was another one in Santa Rosa, California. They were all over. More Avelo Airlines protests, calls to boycott Avelo Airlines for profiting off Trump's deportation flights in Burbank, California, and Medford, Oregon, and in Houston, Texas, and in New Haven, Connecticut, and Eugene, Oregon, and Rochester, New York. Again, more than 40 cities. I think there were something like 4 dozen cities in which there were protests against Avelo Airlines and calls to boycott Avelo Airlines for participating in Trump's deportation flights. New York state legislators are now considering legislation that would effectively ban Avelo from flying in or out of any airports in New York state, as long as they keep doing what they are doing for Trump's deportation flights. So we have limited insight, I think, into the political mindset that's at work, that's driven the Trump administration to do a lot of the things they're doing. I mean, do we know what benefit they see in arresting the drummer from the Milford High School band, right? The honor student, high school junior on the volleyball team, and locking him up? Do we really understand what benefit they think that is to the United States of America? Do we know what benefit Trump sees for the nation in arresting the beloved John's Waffle and Pancake House waitress in Missouri? Right? Do we know what benefit Trump sees in sending full battlefield combat gear, clueless HSI agents with grenades into a neighborhood restaurant in San Diego? Right? Do we know what benefit they think these things are to the country? For that matter, I mean, do we know why they think it's not a benefit to the country to have, I don't know, overnight meteorologist coverage in offices of the National Weather Service in the Midwest? Do we know why they think that's a good thing to get rid of, right? Why they think it's not a benefit to the country to have any more work on a vaccine for AIDS or any more notifications of E. coli outbreaks? Why they think it's a benefit to the country to not have anyone available to answer the phone at the Social Security office? Do we know why they are aiming deliberately to cut literally millions of Americans off of health insurance? I mean, do we know why this is what they want for the country? I mean, imagine if they'd actually run for office on the basis of these things they're doing in office. Imagine if that's like what Trump rallies and Republican rallies had been like, right? Hey, vote for me, vote for us. We'll bring back measles and AIDS. We're going to legalize machine guns. And we're also, you know what we're going to do? We're going to destroy the greatest universities in the world. We are going to decimate cancer research. America, you will never again have to worry about the bane of cancer research anymore. Going to get rid of that. We're ending that. I mean, imagine if they had run on these things, but of course they didn't. Trump didn't run on those things. What he ran on was, in part, promising to be really cruel to immigrants, right? The cruelty to immigrants, we can't say they didn't warn us about it. Trump ran on that promise. And I think that Trump thought, and all the people going into the Trump administration thought, therefore, that his cruelty to immigrants would be popular once he was in office, right? That the more people he and his agents arrested, the more cruel they were to people who are in this country who were not born here, the more the American people would like it and applaud for it and like him for doing it. It turns out they were really, really wrong about that. That political calculation was incorrect. I mean, from the Northeast in New England to the far Southwest, to the Pacific Northwest, to Ohio, to Florida, to Arizona, to Texas, to Trump supporting rural Missouri, what they are doing in abusing immigrants is they are arousing the ire of the American people with every single blundering step they take against these high school students and waitresses who they're trying to tell us are the real monsters who we all need to be saved from. They got the politics absolutely wrong here. They got the heart of the American people absolutely wrong on this issue. And now, politically, everywhere, they are going to pay for it. More to come. Stay with us.
Và xin chào tất cả các bạn quay trở lại video tô màu của mình. Thì hôm nay mình sẽ hướng dẫn các bạn tô màu bức tranh về những chú gà con đang trong một khu vườn nha các bạn. Và những chú gà đang đội những chiếc mũ. Và mình sẽ đi tô màu những chiếc mũ trước. Mình sẽ lựa chọn màu hồng để mình tô màu nha các bạn. Và mình đã tô màu xong chú gà đầu tiên bằng màu vàng rồi nha các bạn. Tiếp theo thì mình sẽ đi tô màu chú gà thứ hai. Như vậy mình đã tô màu xong chú gà thứ hai rồi nha các bạn. Tiếp theo thì mình sẽ tô màu chú gà thứ ba. Và mình sẽ đi tô màu chiếc mũ nha các bạn. Và tiếp theo thì mình sẽ tô màu những chú bướm đang bay lượn nha các bạn. Và như vậy mình đã hoàn thành tô màu xong bức tranh về những chú gà con đang ở trong một khu vườn rồi nha các bạn. Các bạn nhớ đăng ký kênh và ủng hộ cho mình nha. Xin chào và hẹn các bạn các video tô màu tiếp theo của mình.